The gunshot echoed across the Han River, and before Thandi could even process what was happening, strong hands grabbed her waist and pulled her down behind the sleek black Maserati. Her heart hammered against her ribs as Daeho's body shielded hers, his expensive cologne mixing with the metallic scent of fear in the air. "Stay down," he commanded, his voice ice-cold, nothing like the warm tone he'd used all evening. This couldn't be real. 2 hours ago, she'd been crying alone in her apartment over her ex. Now she was crouched behind a luxury car while someone shot at them in the middle of Seoul. "What the hell is happening?" Thandi whispered, her South African accent thickening with panic. Daeho's phone buzzed violently in his pocket. He pulled it out, jaw clenched as he read the messages flooding in. His eyes, which had been soft and vulnerable just moments ago, turned hard as obsidian. "We need to move. Now. But let's rewind. Let me tell you how a simple text message to the wrong number led to the most dangerous night of my life." 6 hours earlier, Thandi Kumalo sat in her cramped studio apartment in Gangnam, still wearing the all-black uniform from her beauty salon. Her fingers ached from braiding hair all day, and her heart ached from something far worse, loneliness that seemed to swallow her whole on nights like this. Outside her window, Seoul was alive with Halloween festivities. Groups of young Koreans in elaborate costumes laughed and stumbled down the street, probably heading to the clubs in Hongdae. Jack-o'-lanterns flickered in cafe windows, and somewhere nearby, American pop music thumped from a party she wasn't invited to. Inside, Thandi poured her third glass of cheap wine and stared at her phone. Daniel's contact photo smiled back at her, a picture from 6 months ago when she'd actually believed he meant it when he said he didn't care what his parents thought about him dating a black woman. That illusion had shattered pretty quickly when he'd ended things with a text message that basically said his family would never accept her. He was the third. 3 years in Seoul, 3 relationships, 3 variations of the same ending. "You're too much," one had said. "My family is traditional," said another. Daniel had at least been honest. "I can't fight my whole family for this." Thandi wiped her eyes, smudging her makeup. Her best friend Amara kept telling her to stop dating Korean men who weren't ready to deal with their family's prejudices, but Thandi was tired of being told where she could and couldn't find love. She opened her messages and started typing to Daniel. "I know I shouldn't reach out, but I miss what we had. I miss feeling like someone actually saw me. Do you ever think about us? About what we could have been if you'd just been brave enough to try?" Her thumb hovered over the send button. Pride told her to delete it. Loneliness and wine told her to press send. She pressed send. The message showed as delivered. Thandi tossed her phone onto the couch cushion and immediately regretted it. Why did she always do this to herself? Why couldn't she just? Her phone buzzed. That was fast. Maybe Daniel had been thinking about her too. Maybe. "I think you have the wrong person." Thandi's stomach dropped. She grabbed her phone and checked the contact. It definitely said Daniel. But that wasn't his usual texting style. He always used tons of emojis and ended every sentence with. She typed back quickly. "Oh my God, I'm so sorry. This is so embarrassing. Please just delete that message and forget this happened." 3 dots appeared immediately. Then disappeared. Then appeared again. "Don't apologize. It's Halloween, and you sound like you're having a rough night. No one should be alone on Halloween. Where are you?" Thandi blinked at the screen. This was definitely not Daniel. She must have deleted and resaved his number at some point and gotten it wrong. But who was this person? "I'm in Gangnam," she typed cautiously. "Why?" The response was immediate. "Stay there." Before she could type another word, her phone rang. Unknown number. Her hand trembled slightly as she answered. "Hello?" The voice that came through was deep and smooth, like expensive whiskey poured over ice. He spoke in Korean, but his accent was pure Seoul elite, the kind of Korean that came from expensive schools and even more expensive neighborhoods. "Don't move. I'm coming to you." "Wait, what?" No, I don't even know who you are, and this is completely insane. He hung up. Thandi stared at her phone in disbelief. Was this person serious? Who just shows up at a stranger's house based on a wrong number text? This had to be a joke. Or a scam. Or. Her phone buzzed with a text. Your address? Okay, this was officially the craziest thing that had ever happened to her. Every single alarm bell in her head was ringing. Every safety lesson her mother had drilled into her since childhood was screaming at her to block this number and triple-check her door locks. But something about his voice had been, not threatening. Confident, yes. Commanding, absolutely. But there had been something else there too. Curiosity. Genuine interest. Thandi looked around her empty apartment. At the instant ramen containers in the sink. At the Korean language textbook she'd been studying for 4 years but still couldn't master. At the wall calendar where every Saturday night for the past 2 months just said work or home alone. What was the worst that could happen? Actually, scratch that. She could think of about 50 terrible things that could happen. But. She called Amara. Girl, why are you calling me? I'm at a Halloween party in Itaewon getting my flirt on with this fine. I need you to track my location, Thandi interrupted. The music in the background suddenly got quieter. What's wrong? Are you okay? I'm fine. Probably. Maybe. I accidentally texted the wrong number, and now this guy is coming to my apartment. What? Thandi, have you lost your entire mind? This is literally how every horror movie starts. I know. But Amara, you should have heard his voice. And I'm just so tired of being careful and safe and alone all the time. Amara groaned. Fine. But I'm tracking you, and you better text me every 10 minutes or I'm calling the police. And not the regular police, I'm calling the foreign police and the embassy and your mom. Don't call my mom. Then don't get murdered by a stranger from the internet. Thandi took a deep breath and typed her address into the message thread. The reply came instantly, 7 minutes. She had 7 minutes to decide if she'd completely lost her mind. Thandi ran to the bathroom, tried to fix her smudged makeup, gave up, and settled for washing her face completely. She threw on a clean shirt, lit a candle to mask the smell of old takeout, and shoved her pile of dirty laundry into the closet. 6 minutes. What was she doing? This was insane. She should text him back and cancel. Say she'd changed her mind. Say anything too. The buzzer rang. Thandi's heart jumped into her throat. She walked slowly to her video intercom and pressed the button. The screen flickered to life, showing a man standing in her building's lobby, and Thandi forgot how to breathe. He was gorgeous. Not pretty boy gorgeous like the K-pop idols her salon clients obsessed over. This was something different. Something dangerous. Sharp jawline, styled black hair that probably cost more than her rent to maintain, and a black suit that looked like it had been tailored specifically for his body. Behind him, through the glass lobby doors, she could see a midnight blue Maserati parked at the curb. This is not real life, Thandi whispered to herself. She pressed the intercom button. Yes? His eyes looked directly into the camera, and even through the grainy video feed, she felt the intensity of his gaze. Thandi? He pronounced her name carefully, the Korean accent softening the harsh consonants into something almost musical. That's me. And you are? Someone who thought a beautiful woman shouldn't spend Halloween alone, texting ghosts from her past. I'm Daeho. Are you going to let me up? Every rational brain cell she possessed screamed at her to say no. To thank him for coming but send him away. To be smart and safe and sensible. Instead, she buzzed him in. Thandi ran to her door and opened it a crack, leaving the chain lock attached. She heard the elevator ding down the hall, and then footsteps. Confident. Unhurried. He knocked gently. She opened the door as far as the chain would allow and got her first real look at Daeho. He was even more stunning in person. Mid-30s, probably. Eyes so dark they were almost black, watching her with an intensity that made her skin warm. That suit was definitely designer. She'd styled enough wealthy clients to recognize Tom Ford when she saw it. Thandi, he said again, and the way he said her name made something flutter in her chest. And you're Daeho. The stranger who drives a very expensive car and shows up at women's apartments based on wrong number texts. A slight smile curved his lips. When you put it that way, it does sound questionable. It sounds insane. Maybe. But you let me up anyway. I did. Against every ounce of common sense I possess. Then let me in. Prove that your instincts were right. Thandi studied his face. There was confidence there, yes, but not arrogance. And something else, something that looked almost like loneliness. Like maybe he understood exactly how she'd been feeling when she sent that text. She closed the door, unlatched the chain, and opened it fully. Daeho stepped inside, and immediately her small apartment felt even smaller. His presence filled the space in a way that had nothing to do with physical size and everything to do with the way he commanded attention just by existing. He glanced around her apartment, taking in the certificates from her beauty training on the wall, the African print pillows on her couch that she'd brought from Johannesburg, the photos of her family that she kept by the window. You've been crying, he said quietly, turning back to her. Thandi touched her face self-consciously. Bad night. Hence the drunk texting to the wrong number. The ex? One of several. Their loss. The simple statement, delivered without flattery or flirtation, made her throat tight. Daeho moved to her window, looking out at the Halloween chaos below. You work nearby? I'm a beautician. I run a small studio 2 blocks from here. Natural hair specialist. Braids, twists, protective styles. I do some Korean clients too, but mostly I work with other African women and mixed-race women living in Seoul. For years in Seoul, he said, and it wasn't a question. How did you? Your apartment. It has the look of someone who's established but not fully settled. Like you're still deciding if this is home or just a stop along the way. Thandi felt exposed in a way that had nothing to do with the fact that a stranger was in her apartment. That's uncomfortably accurate. He turned back to her, and in the dim light from her single lamp, she could see something shift in his expression. Something that looked like recognition. I understand that feeling. Being in a place but not quite of it. Is that how you feel? In your own city? In my own life, he said simply. The moment stretched between them, heavy with things neither of them were saying. Daeho pulled out his phone and showed her the screenshot of her original text. You said you miss feeling like someone saw you. I know what that's like. When you're in my position, everyone wants something from you. Everyone has an angle. No one just sees you as a person anymore. What position is that? A slight smile. Let's call it import-export. Import-export, Thandi repeated flatly. In a Maserati. Showing up to random apartments at 11 p.m. I have interesting business hours. Despite everything, Thandi laughed. It felt good. When was the last time she'd laughed? Look, Daeho said, his tone becoming more serious. I know this is bizarre. Trust me, I don't usually do things like this. But your text was honest. Raw. And in my world, no one is ever that honest. So I was curious. And I thought maybe we could both use some company tonight. No expectations. No obligations. Just 2 people who are tired of being alone. Thandi should say no. She should thank him and send him away and go back to her wine and her pity party and her safe, predictable loneliness. Okay, she heard herself say instead. Daeho's expression shifted, surprise and something that looked like relief. But, Thandi continued, we stay in public places. I'm texting my friend exactly where we're going. And at the first sign of anything weird, I'm out. Smart. Very smart. I'd expect nothing less. As Thandi grabbed her jacket and sent Amara a detailed message with photos of Daeho and his license plate, she caught his reflection in her hallway mirror. He was watching her with an expression that was hard to read, interest mixed with something else. Something that looked like calculation, like he was deciding something important. "Ready?" he asked. No, Thandi thought. But she nodded anyway. The Maserati's engine purred to life as they pulled into Seoul's neon-lit streets, and Thandi couldn't shake the feeling that her life was about to change in ways she couldn't possibly predict. They drove in silence for the first few minutes, the city lights painting everything in shades of pink and blue. Thandi kept sneaking glances at Daeho. In profile, he was almost too handsome, like something out of a drama. But there was a hardness to him too, something in the set of his jaw that spoke of someone who made difficult decisions regularly. "Where are we going?" she finally asked. "Somewhere we can talk. Somewhere quiet." They ended up at a rooftop bar in Gangnam that Thandi had walked past 100 times but never entered. The kind of place with a dress code and a minimum spend that made her monthly salary look like pocket change. The host greeted Daeho by name and immediately led them to a private corner table with a view of Seoul Tower glittering in the distance. "You come here often?" Thandi asked as they sat down. "Often enough." "What do you drink?" "Usually cheap wine from the convenience store." That got a genuine smile from him. "Tonight, we upgrade." He ordered in rapid Korean, too fast for Thandi to catch more than every third word. When the waiter left, Daeho leaned back in his chair and studied her. "So, Thandi Kumalo, tell me about the men who were too stupid to see what they had." "That's a depressing topic for a first, whatever this is." "Date. We can call it a date." "Date," Thandi repeated, testing the word. "Okay. But only if you tell me about the women who let you get away." Something flickered across Daeho's face. "That's an equally depressing topic." "Then we're perfectly matched." The drinks arrived, something amber and expensive looking for him, a cocktail that looked like art for her. "Fine," Thandi said after her first sip. "I came to Seoul 4 years ago because I wanted to build something that was mine. In Johannesburg, I was always someone's daughter, someone's girlfriend, someone's hairstylist who also happened to be their friend's cousin. I wanted to be just me. Build my own business. Make my own life." "And have you?" "The business, yes. I'm proud of what I built. My clients love me. I'm good at what I do. But the rest of it, the life part, has been harder. Dating here is." She paused, trying to find the right words. "It's complicated when you look like me. Some guys fetishize it. Others are curious but not serious. The ones who might actually be serious get scared when they realize what it means to be with someone who doesn't fit into their neat little boxes." Daeho nodded slowly. "Daniel was the most recent?" "Number 3 in 3 years. All the same story with different faces." "What did he say when he ended it?" "That his family would never accept me. That he couldn't fight his whole family for a relationship. That he was sorry but..." Thandi shrugged. "You get the idea. He was a coward." The bluntness of it surprised her. "He was realistic." "No," Daeho said firmly. "He was a coward. If you care about someone, you fight for them. You don't hide behind your family's prejudices as an excuse." The passion in his voice made Thandi look at him more closely. "Sounds like you speak from experience." Daeho took a long drink. "I was engaged once. 5 years ago. She was perfect, or so everyone told me. Right family, right education, right, everything. Except she didn't love me. She loved what I represented. The status. The money. The power. What happened? I called it off 3 weeks before the wedding. Caused a massive scandal. Her family hasn't spoken to mine since." "Do you regret it?" "Not for a second. But it taught me that in my world, genuine connection is rare. Everyone has an agenda. Everyone wants something. Except tonight I had no idea who you were, so I couldn't possibly have wanted anything except maybe to not die alone on Halloween. That got a real laugh from him, warm and genuine. Exactly. Which is why I'm here. They talked for hours. Thandi told him about growing up in Johannesburg, about the first time she did cornrows on a white girl and the girl's mother accused her of damaging her daughter's hair. About moving to Seoul and spending her first 6 months so lonely she almost went home. About building her business from nothing and the day she finally broke even. Daeho listened in a way that made her feel like every word mattered. He asked questions that showed he was actually paying attention, not just waiting for his turn to talk. Your turn, Thandi finally said. Tell me about this import-export business that lets you drive a Maserati and drink in places like this. Daeho's expression became more guarded. I help people get what they need when traditional methods don't work. That's impressively vague. It has to be. Why? Because my business operates in gray areas. Not quite illegal, but not exactly legal either. I facilitate connections, broker deals, move goods and information across borders in ways that might not always go through official channels. Thandi felt a chill run down her spine. So you're saying you're a criminal? I'm saying I'm a businessman who understands that the world doesn't always work according to the rules in textbooks. Sometimes people need things done quickly, quietly, efficiently. I provide that service. To who? To people who can afford discretion. They stared at each other across the table. Thandi knew she should get up and leave. Everything about this screamed danger. But instead, she found herself leaning forward. Have you ever hurt anyone? Daeho's eyes never left hers. I've done things I'm not proud of. But I've never hurt anyone who didn't have it coming. I have rules. Lines I don't cross. Like what? No drugs. No human trafficking. No children. Ever. The firmness in his voice told her these weren't just words. These were principles. Why are you telling me this? Thandi asked quietly. Because for the first time in years, I want someone to know the real me. Not the version I show clients. Not the version I show my associates. Just me. He reached across the table and took her hand. His skin was warm, his grip firm but gentle. I should walk out of here right now, Thandi whispered. You should. This is dangerous. It is. But I don't want to. Then don't. They left the bar after midnight and walked through the Halloween chaos of Itaewon. Groups of drunk foreigners stumbled past in elaborate costumes. Street vendors sold spicy tteokbokki and corn dogs. Somewhere nearby, a live band was butchering a Maroon 5 song. Daeho kept his hand on the small of her back, guiding her through the crowds. Thandi noticed how people moved out of his way, how even drunk college students seemed to sense that he was someone you didn't bump into. You're recognized here, she said. I do business in this area. What kind of business? The kind that keeps nightclubs open and restaurants supplied with premium liquor that never appears on customs forms. A group of men in suits approached them, and Thandi felt Daeho tense. The lead man bowed slightly and spoke in rapid Korean. Thandi caught enough words to understand it was urgent, something about a shipment and a problem at the port. Daeho's entire demeanor changed. The warm, almost vulnerable man from the bar vanished, replaced by someone cold and commanding. He rattled off instructions in a tone that made it clear there would be no questions or arguments. The men bowed again and hurried away. Sorry about that, Daeho said, his voice softening as he turned back to her. Does that happen a lot? Unfortunately, yes. Running a business like mine means you're never really off duty. They kept walking until they reached Han River. The water reflected the city lights like scattered diamonds. Couples sat on benches, and groups of teenagers played music and danced on the wide pathway. Daeho led her to a quieter spot away from the crowds. For a long moment, they just stood there, looking out at the water. I need to tell you something, Daeho said finally. And I need you to really hear me. Thandi's heart started beating faster. Okay. My world, the life I live, it's not safe. It's not stable. People who get close to me become targets. I've kept everyone at arm's length for years because of that. No serious relationships. No real connections. It's lonely as hell, but it keeps people safe. Then why tell me all this? Why bring me into it? Daeho turned to face her fully, his expression more open than she'd seen it all night. Because tonight, for the first time in years, I felt like myself. Not the boss. Not the businessman. Just me. And I know it's selfish, and I know it's dangerous, but I want more of that. More of this. More of you. Thandi's breath caught. Daeho. I'm not asking you to decide anything tonight. I'm just asking if you feel it too. This thing between us. She did. God help her, she did. It was crazy and reckless and probably the worst decision she'd ever made, but standing here with him felt more right than anything had felt in years. I feel it, she admitted quietly. Daeho smiled, and it transformed his entire face. He reached up and gently tucked a braid behind her ear. His fingers lingered on her cheek. Can I kiss you? Thandi nodded. He leaned in slowly, giving her time to change her mind. But she didn't want to change her mind. She wanted this. Wanted him. Wanted to feel something other than lonely for once in her life. His lips met hers, soft at first, then deeper. Thandi's hands found their way to his chest, feeling his heartbeat through the expensive fabric of his shirt. He pulled her closer, one hand tangling in her braids, the other at the small of her back. The kiss was everything, desperate and tender and electric all at once. When they finally pulled apart, both breathing hard, Daeho rested his forehead against hers. Come home with me, he whispered. And that's when the gunshot rang out. Everything happened in slow motion and too fast all at once. Daeho's arms were around her, pulling her down behind the Maserati. Her knees hit the pavement hard. More shots, 2, 3, she lost count. Stay down, Daeho commanded, his voice ice cold. Thandi's hands were shaking. Her whole body was shaking. This wasn't real. This couldn't be real. Daeho pulled out his phone, fingers flying across the screen. Within seconds, 2 black SUVs screeched up. Men in dark suits poured out, forming a protective barrier around them. Get her out of here, Daeho ordered one of them. Take her home. Make sure she's safe. No, Thandi gasped. What's happening? Who's shooting at us? Daeho's eyes met hers, and in them she saw regret and anger and something that looked like fear. Business rivals. They must have seen us together. Thandi, I'm so sorry. The woman is with you, a new voice called out in Korean. Thandi looked up to see a man standing about 20 feet away. Expensive suit, cold smile. Behind him, more men with guns. Daeho stood slowly, positioning himself between Thandi and the newcomer. Kong, he said flatly. This is bold, even for you. Kong laughed. I heard the great Daeho was out on a date tonight. With the African princess. How unexpected. Touch her, and there won't be a place in Seoul you can hide. I'm not here for her. I'm here to remind you that you're not invincible. Romance makes men careless, Daeho. And careless men make mistakes. The two groups faced each other in tense standoff. Thandi's heart hammered so hard she thought it might burst from her chest. Finally, Kong smiled and gestured to his men. We're leaving. For now. But you should think carefully about your priorities. Business is business. Personal attachments, those are weaknesses. The SUVs roared away, leaving an eerie silence. Daeho turned back to Thandi, who was still crouched behind the car, trembling. Let's get you home, he said gently, helping her up. The drive back to her apartment was silent. Thandi's mind was spinning. Guns. Rival gangs. This was her life now? After one date? When they pulled up to her building, Daeho walked her to her door. I should never have come tonight, he said quietly. I put you in danger. I'm sorry. Thandi unlocked her door but didn't go inside. Instead, she turned to face him. You're a gangster. An actual gangster. That's a crude term, but essentially, yes. People shoot at you. Sometimes. And now they'll shoot at me too. Daeho's jaw clenched. I'll make sure you're protected. I have men who can. Stop. Thandi held up a hand. Just stop. I need to think. Of course. Take all the time you need. I'll make sure Kong understands you're off limits. No one will bother you again. He started to walk away, and Thandi felt something twist in her chest. Fear, yes. But also something else. Something that felt dangerously like longing. Wait. Daeho stopped and turned back. Why did you really come to my apartment tonight? Out of all the things you could have done, all the places you could have gone, why me? Daeho was quiet for a long moment. When he spoke, his voice was raw with honesty. Because your text was the first genuine thing I'd encountered in months. Maybe years. You weren't trying to impress anyone. You weren't playing games. You were just honest. Vulnerable. Real. And I wanted to remember what that felt like. To be around someone who was real. Thandi's throat tightened. This is insane. It is. I should tell you to never contact me again. You should. That would be the smart thing. It would. But instead of saying goodbye, Thandi stepped closer. Tonight was the first time in years I felt alive. Seen. Even with the guns and the danger and all of it. You made me feel like I mattered. You do matter. Then come inside. Daeho shook his head. If I come inside, everything changes. There's no going back. Maybe I don't want to go back. Maybe safe and lonely isn't better than dangerous and alive. Thandi. She took his hand and pulled him into her apartment. The door closed behind them, and for a moment, they just stood there in the dim light from her single lamp. Last chance, Daeho said. I walk out that door right now, and you never have to deal with any of this again. Instead of answering, Thandi kissed him. Poured everything she was feeling into it, the fear and the excitement and the desperate need to feel something real. Daeho responded immediately, deepening the kiss as he backed her against the wall. His hands found her waist, her hair, her face. Thandi's fingers worked at the buttons of his shirt, needing to feel skin, needing proof that this was real. They made it to her bedroom somehow, leaving a trail of expensive clothes behind them. And for the rest of the night, Thandi forgot about being safe. Forgot about being smart. Forgot about everything except the feeling of being completely, utterly alive. When dawn broke over Seoul, Thandi woke up to find Daeho already awake, sitting on the edge of her bed with his phone. Already back to business? She asked, her voice rough with sleep. He turned and smiled, and there was that softness again. Always. But this morning, I'm trying to figure out how to keep you safe. Thandi sat up, pulling the sheet around herself. I don't want to live my life scared. I don't want you to either. But there are things you need to know. Rules that will keep you safe. I'm listening. He set down his phone and turned to face her fully. First, you need security. I'll assign 2 of my best men to watch your salon and your apartment. That seems excessive. After last night, it's necessary. Second, if anyone asks about me, you tell them nothing. You don't know who I am or what I do. Third, you tell me the truth. All of it. Daeho nodded slowly. All of it. What do you want to know? Everything. Start with your real name. It's really Daeho. But my full name is Kim Daeho. I run the Hwang Syndicate, one of the largest organized crime families in Seoul. We control most of the luxury goods smuggling in and out of South Korea, plus legitimate businesses that serve as fronts. Nightclubs, restaurants, import-export companies. How long have you been doing this? I inherited the business from my father when I was 25. That was 10 years ago. And Kong? Kong Min-sik. He runs a rival syndicate. We've been competing for territory for years. Mostly it stayed professional, until now. Because of me. Because he sees you as a weakness he can exploit. He's not wrong. Caring about someone in my world is dangerous. Thandi processed this. Her life had been so simple yesterday. Work, home, occasional dates that went nowhere. Now she was sitting in bed with a crime boss, discussing syndicate politics. This is completely insane, she said again. It is. Last chance, Thandi. I can walk away right now. You go back to your life, I go back to mine. You'll be protected until Kong loses interest, and then you're free. Thandi looked at him, really looked at him. This beautiful, dangerous man who'd shown up at her apartment because of a wrong number. Who'd made her laugh and feel and come alive in ways she'd forgotten were possible. I don't want you to leave, she said quietly. Daeho's expression softened. Are you sure? No. But I'm doing it anyway. He moved closer, cupping her face in his hands. Then I promise you this, I will keep you safe. No matter what it takes. You're mine now, and I protect what's mine. Possessive much? Completely. Is that a problem? Thandi smiled despite everything. Surprisingly, no. Her phone buzzed on the nightstand, Amara calling for probably the 50th time. I should answer that before she calls Interpol. Probably wise. Thandi answered. I'm alive. Oh, thank God. Girl, I have been losing my mind. What happened? Are you okay? Do I need to come over there? Should I bring weapons? I'm fine. Better than fine, actually. But Amara. I have a story to tell you. I'm already in a taxi. I'll be there in 10 minutes. Do not move. The call ended, and Thandi looked at Daeho. My best friend is about to arrive and probably try to kill you for putting me in danger. I can handle overprotective friends. Can you handle overprotective South African friends who grew up in Soweto? That might be more challenging. True to her word, Amara arrived 10 minutes later, bursting through the door like a hurricane. Thandi. Oh my God, I was so worried. She stopped dead when she saw Daeho, still shirtless, standing in the kitchen making coffee. Who is that? That's Daeho. Daeho, this is Amara. Amara's eyes went wide. She grabbed Thandi's arm and dragged her into the bathroom, closing the door. Okay, spill everything. Now. Thandi told her everything, the text, the date, the kiss, the shooting, all of it. By the end, Amara was staring at her like she'd grown a second head. So you're dating a Korean Mafia boss? I mean, I don't know if we're officially dating. There is a crime lord making coffee in your kitchen who clearly spent the night. You're dating. Fair point. This is insane. Everyone keeps saying that. Because it is. Thandi, this man is dangerous. I know. People shot at you. I know. And you're still going to see him? Thandi met her friend's eyes. Yeah. I am. Amara groaned. You're going to give me gray hair. Fine. But I'm doing a full background check, and you're texting me every single day to prove you're still alive. Deal. They emerged from the bathroom to find Daeho had made coffee for all three of them. He handed Amara a cup with a slight smile. I imagine you have questions. Oh, I have so many questions, Amara said, accepting the coffee. Starting with, if you hurt my friend, can I make you disappear? You can certainly try. Despite the tension, Thandi saw Amara's lips twitch. She was trying not to smile. They talked for another hour, Daeho answering Amara's increasingly detailed questions about how he planned to keep Thandi safe, what precautions were in place, what would happen if things went wrong. Finally, Amara stood. Okay. I don't like this, but I can see you make her happy. And God knows she deserves to be happy. But Daeho, she switched to English for emphasis, if anything happens to her, there is nowhere you can hide. Understood? Understood. After Amara left, Thandi and Daeho sat on her small balcony, watching Seoul wake up. Your friend is terrifying, Daeho said. She's protective. I respect that. She cares about you. So do you, apparently. After one night. Daeho turned to look at her. I know it sounds crazy. Trust me, I know. But yes. I care about you. More than I should after such a short time. More than is probably wise. Then we're both crazy. He took her hand, threading their fingers together. There's going to be challenges. Kong won't let this go easily. My associates will have questions about why I'm suddenly involved with someone. Your life is about to get complicated. It's already complicated. I'm a black woman running a business in Korea, dating a gangster I met through a wrong number text. Complicated is already my baseline. That made him laugh. Fair point. So what happens now? Now, we figure it out. Together. One day at a time. Starting with. His phone rang. He glanced at the screen and sighed. I have to take this. Business. While he stepped away to deal with whatever crisis needed his attention, Thandi stayed on the balcony, processing everything that had happened in the last 12 hours. Yesterday, she'd been alone and heartbroken, convinced that she'd never find someone who saw her as she really was. Today, she was involved with a man who was dangerous and complicated and probably the worst choice she could make. And yet, she'd never felt more alive. Her phone buzzed with a text from Daeho, dinner tonight? Somewhere we won't get shot at? She smiled and typed back, that's a low bar, but yes. As Seoul spread out before her, beautiful and chaotic and full of possibilities, Thandi realized something, maybe wrong numbers weren't mistakes at all. Maybe sometimes the universe had to intervene, had to push you off the safe path and onto the dangerous one, because that's where life actually happened. One wrong text. One reckless decision. One impossible man. Everything had changed. And for the first time in years, Thandi Kumalo was exactly where she wanted to be. If you've made it this far, thank you for watching. This story of Thandi and Daeho is just beginning. Hit that subscribe button to see what happens next in their dangerous romance. Will they survive the syndicate wars? Can their love overcome the dangers of his world? Drop a comment below telling me what you think Thandi should do, run or stay? And smash that like button if you want more Afro-Korean drama stories. Trust me, things are about to get even more intense. See you in the next one.